Sports Review London boxing news from Capital City here with Eddie Hearn. Ed, first things first, just heard the news that the fight between Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury is off due to an injury, or postponed, sorry. Your thoughts on that?
Disappointing. I mean, we were at the press conference, saw you there like 48 hours ago or something like that. It's boxing. I mean, when you've seen it so many times, and I've seen it probably over the last 5 years, but I got the phone call this morning at probably, I don't know, 8:45, and it felt like someone just stuck a pin in me. I mean, Tyson's not even my fighter, you know, but obviously we're involved on the same night as well, and I went into my old man's office and he was there, and I said, "You're not going to believe this, the fight's off." And he's like, "Okay, right, well, call him, do this, make that fight, do that, let's go to work." You know, it's like, because he's seen it over 20, 30 years, and nothing's ever going to change. You know, we're always going to get fighters getting injuries, but there you go. You know, you've got to crack on, and that's what we'll be doing.
We're better to turn to, really. You know, your dad always had a cool head even back in the day, didn't he?
But it's like anything in life. It's the more you're around a situation, not just the better you are with dealing with it, but the more used you are to dealing with it. Just like a fighter who walks out that first time in that 20,000 arena, he's going to be a lot more nervous than he will be 3 or 4 times later. You know, and that's the same with dealing with a problem or dealing with anything. So, and what can you do? Nothing you can do about it, is there? You just got to, you know, sort some things out and go back to work.
Far too early to talk about total specifics, but any idea of the October 24th date? Any idea of when we're looking at? I understand it's a calf injury.
Yeah,
that Vladimir's
I think they're talking about. There was some talk of end of November, but I think more than likely now it'll be early next year. So that's the hunch I'm getting.
Right. Does that affect your budgets? Because everything is filters down.
I mean, now, you know, we're in a situation where we've got some huge fights signed and contracted for October 24th, so we're going to go. You know, we're going to go with it, and not letting down fighters. We've got a great card, great main event. We'll look to add some more fights as well, and you know, it's like I said, you know, it's not just a case of going to 6 or 7 fighters who are in big fights and saying, "Sorry, we'll have to find something else for you somewhere down the line." It's talking about Kell Brook, #1 welterweight in the world, so it's, you know, he's going to fight, and you know, we're looking, and even, you know, a lot of people tweeting me saying, "Get Tyson on the card." Stranger things have happened, you know. So it's a bit early at the moment, you know. Literally, it was a few hours ago. So, but
is that something you would consider?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, he hasn't been active at all. So the delay is only bad news for Tyson Fury, because you know, you want to go into a fight like Klitschko with some kind of momentum. So if he wants to box on a show, you know, I'm sure Mick Hennessy will get in touch, and you know, it would make sense. But you know, I don't know, contractually he might not be allowed to take another fight, so I don't know. But we'll certainly be looking to add something else big on the card, and you know, deal with the situation.
Moving on to today's great news for boxing, you know, getting Chris on a platform where he's going to get, no disrespect to another broadcaster, but you know, it's going to get a lot more seen by the public eye, and you know, viewing figures are up there. And I spoke to Chris Jr. earlier. He's absolutely over the moon. Was this a signing that took time? Negotiation wise?
You know, I mean, I think when he turned pro, everyone just assumed he'd turn pro with Matchroom, and it's probably because the fact that I think if my dad was running a boxing, I think he would have signed a long time ago. But I think, you know, I spent my years probably from 11 to 15 or 16 following Chris Eubank Jnr. all over the world. I mean, my dad probably spent more time with him than he did with me. So he was a big part of my life, and he was always this, you know, world champion, and I was probably, he used to call me, or still does, Edward. You know, and I was probably for a long time just that little boy. So I think when he saw me running the boxing, maybe it was like, this is just this little Edward. And I think as time has evolved, I think he's realised what we're doing, and I've been thinking that this, you know, I'd love to get my hands on Chris Eubank Jr. for a couple of years now, because he's got it all. They can really fight, but you know, the show around the show, you know, not just English, Christopher Senior, Ronnie, now Adam Booth, you know, it's you know yourself, being in the media, that there's so many fighters who you can hold a press conference for, but there's certain ones that you know you really want to be there for, and you're going to get golden stuff, and this is one of them. You know, Tyson Fury, he's another one. You know, so you got to give the public what they want, and I think he does that. He's got great ability, he's got personality, he's got the story. You know, I mean, the story for us is my dad went on an incredible journey with his dad. And it's funny how life plays out, and now I'm going to do the same. Might be more successful, might be less successful, but each of us will give it 210% to try and make it happen.
The thing that's always struck me about Eubank, I've seen Eubank at the XL, I've seen him at York Hall. Love him or hate him, you buy a ticket to go and see him.
And everyone's talking about him. But his dad was the same. You know, that's Simply the Best that he used to come out with and vault over the rope. That was part of the show. Half the people wanted him to get beat, and the other half wanted him to win. That Chudinov fight with Eubank, I remember watching it thinking, wow. You know, when I watched the Billy Joe Saunders fight, I knew everybody talks in boxing, everyone talks about how good this kid is. But when I watched the Billy Joe fight, it was like, it's too early. The Chudinov fight was bang on. Everyone was on their feet, you know, the style, everything. So I think really you got a serious fighter here and a serious crossover potential. And I think if everyone does their job, me, Adam, Junior, English, funny saying that, then this is going to be a very formidable team.
I've no doubt. The confidence, always been confident, and obviously Chris Jr. is a lot less eccentric than English, as I'm to call him that.
I know.
I got told off actually.
For not calling him English.
I called him Chris or Mr. Eubank. He said no, English. But the confidence going in now, and I look in someone's eyes, and they're saying, we don't, you know, this Triple G going around, doing this and doing that. We'll take that fight now.
Yeah, I know.
And
you've got to be careful. I mean, it's his son. So you know that a father can be blinded by the proudness. But it's not just any old father. It's a guy who has won world titles, been in boxing for a very, very long time. He knows his boxing. Knows much more about boxing than me. You know, you got Adam Booth, who really, really knows his boxing, and they're saying the same things. They're saying that he can beat these guys. So they're not madmen, you know. Those fights for me are 12, 18 months away. Now we've got to increase his profile, got to get him active again, big fights. And, you know, he's up for fighting anyone, he really is.
Adding him to the Kell Brook undercard, but also the December 12th card, that's seriously taking shape.
Well, you've got Campbell, Mitchell, Joshua and Eubank at the moment. Yeah. So it's serious. I mean, we probably made a mistake doing the tickets and going on sale. We should have waited, you know. So, but you know, I think it's going to be a great event at the O2, and you know, all these shows are. Brooke Chavez is a great fight, and you know, I'm very excited to have him on the team.
Finally, when you sign fighters, maybe like you have done in the past with Matthew Macklins and Brandy Saunders, when you were maybe focusing more on an area, but now you've signed Eubank Jr. Are you laying out a plan? You just spoke about 18 those fights are 18 months away. Are you in your mind laying out, you know, where you want him to go, what governing bodies you? Yeah,
well, he's number one in the WBA, but he's ranked in other governing bodies as well. And you know, the plan is October 24th, December the 12th, then March. And then once we've got those three out of the way, really move on into the big fights. And they'll be dying to be let off the leash for those fights by then. And like I said, at 160 or 168 pounds, so many great fights out there for him, especially at 168 with the Brits. You know, you think about something like De Gale against Eubank Jr. I mean, that's a fight, that's a big fight, you know. De Gale, Eubank Groves, big fight, you know.
I think that's maybe on English mind, that fight with De Gale, you know, because he just said to me there in an interview, he said, you spar De Gale, you do well, but you'll never get that chance again, so make sure you take it all in. So
big fight, big fight.
Fascinating. Ed, listen, thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Much
mate.
appreciated.
Cheers.